What's up YouTube? Tiberius here, doing a chapter 238 review and a quick little theory crafting thing on the back end. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment below on any theories you have, your opinion on where it's going to go from here, or anything like that. Also, let me know what you thought of the chapter in general. Let's just hop into it and get cracking. So first we see Kashimo looking through an x-ray eye that he can, now grow because of his new form unlocked by the curse technique. He's analyzing Sukuna's new form, saying it's utterly immaculate. And what I meant about analyzing is I've never seen 400 years of glazing before, but that meat is marinated like a motherfucker. Like, Kashimo is him. He's still like top 4 in the verse, most likely, but sheesh. So it moves on to talk about Sukuna's form. His original form doesn't impede him in any way. In fact, with his south mouth, which his mouth belly, his south mouth can do incantations, and while he has the extra set of arms, he can do hand signs, which we know that Gojo did something to refresh the output on blue, or to strengthen jutsu through that same way when he did the impromptu purple. So it definitely does make a difference in jujitsu, and it doesn't hurt him in any way. With the cursed tools Kamatoke that we know Yorozu became, and Hiten, which is a spear one, we also saw him depicted. Sukuna annihilated the elite celestial squad, 5 void generals, and I believe that's one of those is Uro's clique, the sun, moon, and stars, which that's probably the celestial squad, I would guess. And then as well as Abe clans, apparently Angel and remnants of the Sugawara clan are through that. Some more glazing happens. We see how beautiful he kind of looks like Hikari in that beautiful panel, in my opinion. Sukuna begins to put the hands on him. And from there, we see Kashimo begin to make a Kid Gohan formed blast. And that's when Sukuna starts talking shit out of his regular mouth, while his south mouth starts chanting to, telling him to look out. Which he did. Luckily, he gave him that, and then he fires Dismantle at him. If you ever notice too, the Dismantle doesn't happen directly in front of him, even though the blowback, the impact is right on side of him. The slash doesn't appear up until before Kashimo. I'm not sure how close. We'll have to see exactly how all the mechanics of his curse technique. But it says this slash that took out Gojo, and we see it does make some kind of cut of some blood splatter, and it looks like maybe he lost an arm, which was a little weird to me. This next coming up, that he hits him with Kamatoke right after that. And, which we know he, can't really do no damage to him. So I'm wondering if he kind of almost like re-strengthened him to regrow his arm. And the only reason I say like to basically recharge him, which we know like with his properties now, it doesn't do any damage to him. And Sukuna knows that. So I just say it because in the next panels after he uses it, his right arm is kind of like blacked out to a certain point. And then from there, we see it on the very next panel. It's grown out more with his hands, but the fingers are still blacked out, almost like it's not finished regrowing. That I could be misreading that way off, which, is a definite possibility. Going back a little bit before the Kamatoke lightning stroke, we see this impressive ass slash that he sent. He starts to tell Kashimo about Yorozu, and it's basically just saying, I have this old side piece. She used to preach about me not knowing what love is because of this peerless world I live in. And he talks about how it's annoying when someone prattles on about, things you don't know. He goes and says, she chose the wrong person. She should have told him or Gojo, because they would have made better company for her. Essentially, Sukuna answers his question. He says, you know the answer, you just can't wrap your mind around it. His thing is, you were strong. They begin to swap, going back and forth. Kashimo is just getting dicked on. He sends another blast, but as he's beginning to fire it off, we see this waffle iron worth of dismantle slashes going at Kashimo. And you know the infamous flashback or cut to of him as his old hand form looking up, and in the afterlife as we see Sukuna be a assholery senpai, master to Kashimo in a sense, or I guess of ideologies. It tells him that and I'm going on the officials for this specific part, but many fierce fighters must have challenged you all their strength and spiritual might, but they never cursed you. They wanted your recognition so they could know their worth, but you butchered them, all the while wondering how to treat others with care. If that isn't loving kindness, then what is? Now, in the officials, I took it as he's basically saying they didn't, come to challenge you to curse you because of your strength. They wanted to get your recognition and know their worth. And instead, he butchered them. Kashimo could have easily walked away from them because they're not worth his time. We know he saw everyone in his era as piles of dirt, no value, worthless. And instead of telling them that, or I guess in a general sense, basically decided to meet them and fight them, but didn't spare them. He killed them as a warrior. Others love them because they are strong. So he's acknowledging Kashimo as being strong. He's letting him know that we just respond to that love in kind by annihilating them. That is love. That is their version of it. That's how they can respond to it. They're on this pedestal. They don't need any framework or structure to formulate what kind of ideologies or day they live by. They themselves, as the strongest, should do as they please, go off everything off of their whim. They don't have anything or any need to get permission or any kind of validation from anybody. Like, I would flame this cross-eyed midget man with that weird ass quarter of a face. Look, he looks like a piece of bark from Groot's ass, layered with Freddy Krueger back skin. Sukuna approaches the now Kashimo in the form that we know. Others love us for our strength, and we respond to that love, yet solitude troubles you, he tells them. And he calls him greedy for this, which Kashimo asks him and reply, then are you satisfied? If so, why did you split your soul into these cursed objects to traverse time? And the reply is what makes me love Sukuna more so than most new gen villains in manga. I haven't read a whole bunch, to be fair, but like Maki the El Dorado from Soso no Frieren and Sukuna are probably my two favorite villains now in new gen. Because he replies with, I understand love and I say to you, love is worthless. He doesn't need anyone to satisfy him. He eats when he wants, he plays with things that amuses him, and whoever's an eyesore, he kills them. If no one can grasp that, then that's their problem. Kashimo laughs, and doesn't that get old? The villain, being a villain, says no. Every human has a unique and fleeting taste, which makes devouring them the perfect way to pass time. Cut back, we see Hikari's domain break. Sukuna looks up and says, here he comes, huh? Yuji flying in from the top rope, which he has these piccolo-ass looking arms. It looks as if he's biting himself. And we also see Higuruma pulling up with him, which is interesting. And Sukuna being Sukuna just says, what can a little boy hope to accomplish here? What can the brat do? Basically just talking shit to Yuji more. So now that's basically the chapter. Alright, so basically the forearm versus forearm. Here's where I stand on that. On the chapter 1 cover of Jujutsu Kaisen, as you can see on the screen, we do see Yuji with these four arms wrapped around him. Now, for a long time, anyone that knows me in the community may have seen me talk about it before, but I've referenced the chapter 1 cover also about Megumi's return, because the frog thing, if you look up what frog symbolism in Japan was kind of acclimating that to my theory about his powers being returned to him from Sukuna, but it's not looking good anymore. The only thing I will say about Megami still though, Copium, because he's my favorite character, but Nobara we saw get the white screen. She woke up, or she came to, and she's in a white room surrounded by all those chairs. So that to me means she's dead. Megami's never gotten a panel like that, I don't think. Maybe I'm forgetting about something, which could be, but still fingers crossed he comes back. But other than that, though, I also brought up the fact that Yuji's arms here could be a sign of his new ability. So basically, these arms would be accessible through the death paintings, one of their curse techniques, or maybe each set of arms has their own curse technique. So we have a physical beast in Yuji Itadori draped in Sukuna's cursed energy with 4 arms. Let's say he has some kind of blood-based ability through the death paintings. Now, remember also that Gojo even brought it up that the impromptu purple didn't do as much damage because it was his cursed energy. So if Sukuna is attacking Yuji, it makes sense that his attacks or abilities won't do as much damage. Anything with cursed energy, that is. Now, a lot of people are hyping up Higuruma, which in my opinion, he's just a walking obituary, pulling up on Sukuna like that. Higuruma has the chance to do something special that we haven't seen from my memory, and that's a pact with himself, or a binding vow with himself, to sacrifice his life, and maybe in order to put Sukuna on like cursed energy probation or cursed technique probation, something along those lines with like legal stuff, or maybe use the exterminator blade outside of his domain. But people are hyping up Higuruma like he's gonna do something. In my opinion, the way Sukuna's curse technique, his slashes work, but the way it looks is they appear, before the target or to a certain distance in between. So with that said, we haven't seen Higuruma basically any physical feats to be able to dodge that or move out the way, even with a heads up. And if that's taking out Gojo, it'll take him out, obviously. So if he can't get out of the way of the slash, but let's just say Sukuna decides not to do that, we know he kind of saw the spark that Gojo fired the red, and before the impromptu purple. So Sukuna's know-how, seeing him about to open up his domain, you could say Sukuna's almost gonna open up his domain right away, or he's just gonna send a slash at him. Obviously, Higuruma's gonna play some kind of big part. That's why I would like to see a self-sacrifice binding vow through him, because he has the curse technique and he has the essentially character motivation to do something like that. He wants to make amends for the people he killed, and what better way than to offer your life to help save the world. So Higuruma self-sacrifice to restrict Sukuna going further, which that will help the rest of the gang. On top of Yuji not being able to, or Yuji being able to tank more damage from Sukuna because of his cursed energy, that will be enough, hopefully, to play with, of course, other people coming in and giving a hand until Sukuna dies or he gets sealed. I still think there's a way the cast can overcome him. It'll take a little bit of stretching, but with binding vows and pacts, you never know what could happen. What is someone willing to sacrifice in order to beat him? And I think that's the beautiful thing about JJK. It's never about who's stronger than who all the time. If they're in a certain gap of strength with each other, anything can be done. But I also think that Shonen and Jump, the magazine itself, kind of needs a nudge in a different direction to look for something new, when that could be stories where you don't know whether the good guy or the bad guy would lose. Obviously, in most narratives, the good guy always comes out on top. And almost saying that at least the possibility is out there. It could still be that, but just that little underlying quality of you never know if the good guys will win. And if the bad guys can win at this point going further, I think it will enhance certain stories, or at least generic stories, to have a certain different kind of edge to it. You know, tackle different avenues, set up different plot structures, can start, you know, using like villains as more of a fixture in the main cast. But I doubt that'll happen. I'd love to see it personally, and if there's one person, Sukuna's got the aura to do it. Like he's really impressive, and he's everything we thought he was. He's not a villain that's trying to be redeemed, and he's also not looking to try and change any of the good guys and the bad guys. When he gets a chance to be a villain, he nails it. He's just a villain. For villain's sake, we know there's going to be more to him, and I'm excited to see what happens. But that's it. Thanks for staying for the whole video. Until next time, stay normie, stay weeb, shit. Even in between is fine. Until next time, peace.